Have you ever wondered how to create an accessible alert dialog using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we will demystify this process and make it as straightforward as possible. First things first, the HTML. Here, we need to define an alert dialog container. This container will hold all of our alert content. So we start by creating a div and giving it a unique ID. We then assign it the dialog role. This role tells assistive technologies that this div is a dialog. Next, we need to add two more attributes, aria labeled by and area described by. The aria labeled by attribute is paired with the ID of the element that labels our dialog. Similarly, aria described by is paired with the ID of the element that provides a description for our dialog. Now, moving on to the CSS. Here we will style our dialog box. We can add some padding, a background color, and other styling details that make it visually appealing. Just remember, the goal is to make it stand out, so it catches the user's attention. Now let's dive into the JavaScript part. Here we will implement the functionality to show and hide the dialog box. We will also ensure it's accessible by keyboard, specifically adding the functionality to close the alert dialog when the escape key is pressed. First, we need to get a reference to our dialog box by its unique ID. Then we define two functions, one to open the dialog box and another to close it. The open function will set the aria modal attribute to true and display the dialog box. The close function will do the opposite. Secondly, we add event listeners. This is where the escape key functionality comes in. We listen for a key down event, and when it happens, we check if the escape key was pressed. If it was, we call our close function. Finally, we need to make sure that when the dialog box is open, keyboard focus is moved into it and is trapped there until the dialog is closed. This can be achieved by adding a tab index attribute to the elements within the dialog. To summarize, the key points covered in this video are 1. Assigning the dialog role to the alert dialog container in the HTML. 2. Using the aria labeled by and aria described by attributes for labeling and describing the dialog. 3. Styling the dialog box in the CSS to make it stand out. 1. Implementing the show and hide functionality in JavaScript. 2. Adding the escape key functionality to close the dialog. 3. Ensuring keyboard focus is moved to the dialog box when it's open and is trapped there until it's closed. By following these steps, you can create an accessible alert dialog that not only looks good but is also user-friendly and accessible to all. Happy coding!